people, beautiful people, best damn nation. It is Wednesday, and you know what time it is. It is the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast. My name is Brian Renegade, and with me, I have the best damn crew. First of all, if you see this man in a dark alley at night, run. He will beat you up in front of your wife and or girlfriend. He is the green-eyed bandit. He fights people. Sometimes he fights people. He's your mama's favorite wrestler, and he can whoop your daddy ass, the one and only Roosevelt. What's happening?
Hey, man, let me tell you something. As many times as we say that every single show, we have a guest on tonight that can attest to most of that shit that we say every single show. Ladies and gentlemen, well, before I get to that, Brian, how are you feeling today? How are you doing?
I'm blessed and highly favored, my brother. I appreciate you asking that. You know what I'm saying? I feel good. You know what I'm saying? Got good energy today. You know what I'm saying? We got a special guest in the building. I've been hyped for this one, man. I'm ready. Roosevelt, please do the due diligence and please introduce our esteemed guest.
Yes, y'all. So let me give you a little backstory. Long time ago. I decided to get into boxing because I wanted to manage my anger. I had a lot of anger built up. I ain't had my daddy in my life. I was mad. You know what I'm saying? I was big mad. And I decided to go do some boxing, and I found our esteemed guest today. And then I found out that boxing is just not the thing for me to do anger management, because I got madder as I was doing it because I found out I was a perfectionist. And every time I messed up, I got madder and madder, and I was doing stupid stuff. And she put me in line and said, hey, stop doing stupid stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the greatest female boxer of all time. And I'm not being biased. It's real, okay? She is a Marine Corps veteran. She is the WBE World Champion, the WIBA, the WIBF World Champion, a 2017 Marine Corps Boxing Hall of Famer, a 2021 International Women Boxing Hall of Famer, number 2 worldwide. Her record holds at 13 wins, 9 losses, 0 draws, and 6 of those wins were by knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, my very first boxing trainer, my best friend, an amazing individual all the way around. Please welcome Bonnie Mann. What up, Bonnie?
Hey, guys. That was some intro there, Happy Feet.
That is the longest. Here we go.
You just started early.
You knew it was coming.
I knew it was coming.
Boy, that's your name all show. I ain't even gonna call you Roosevelt. You're gonna be Happy Feet all show.
Happy Feet.
All right.
He earned that nickname.
Well, let's get right to it. Let's go right into it. So, how did I get the nickname Happy Feet?
Well, he got the nickname Happy Feet because when we were training, that boy could not keep his feet still and he could not move them the right way. And every time he would move them and I would try to help him fix it, he would just start dancing. I'm like, look. And it was about that time that the movie Happy Feet came out, and he reminded me of that penguin that was just dancing all over the place. Now I just started calling him Happy Feet, and I'm like, look, this is your name from now on because you're just not stopping your feet from moving, and you're moving them too much.
Now I can't unsee it.
Happy Feet.
But it made me a better fighter, better individual all the way around.
Absolutely.
You can't hit me if you can't catch me.
That's right. That's right.
Well, look, It's great having you here. I'm excited about this because we love combat sports. So I want to dig into it a little bit. Let's get started from your beginnings. You know what I'm saying? So how did you get into boxing, and when did you fall in love with the sport?
Well, I fell in love with it from the very beginning, but the way I got into it was really just kind of by accident. I'd always been playing a lot of different sports, but mainly softball, baseball. Those were sports I played in, high school, but also when I was in the Marine Corps. So when I got out, I chose to stay in North Carolina, and I was playing on a couple different leagues, couple different teams. I was like pretty much playing 7 days a week, couple different towns in Raleigh and Cary and North Carolina, and I was just like all over the place. So I always my motto has always been like, if something wasn't fun anymore, or I just wasn't finding like the same kind of joy, not that I wasn't having fun, that I would, look for something different. And that point came, when I was in my late 20s, and really more so, I was just having a lot of issues with my throwing arm and shoulder. So I just figured it was kind of time for me to look for something different. And I started going to the gym and just training, and that was kind of getting boring to me after about a year. And I went and interviewed for a job. And when I went to interview for the job in Morrisville, North Carolina, the general manager that interviewed me said, well, listen, if you take this job, because I had another one coming up down in Florida for the same position, because if you take the job here, I just want to know what you like to do for fun. And I said, well, honestly, I play sports. I'm looking for something different. I'm kind of, in limbo right now. And he goes, well, I'll tell you what, if you do take the job here, after you're here a couple of weeks, I'm going to introduce you to our lead contract packer. She used to be a professional boxer out in California back in the day. And, I'll introduce her to you, and, you guys can meet. Maybe that's something, and I said, okay, well, I went and interviewed down in Orlando, and I didn't decide to take that one. I took the one in North Carolina, and he stuck to his word, introduced me to Teresa Arguello, who ended up being my first ever coach. She said, hey, do you want to go to the warehouse and just do a boxing workout for a little bit? And I was like, sure. So I think it was a couple days later, we met in this hot warehouse right attached to our facility. And she put me through about 20 minutes worth of a workout. And the next day I could not move. I was so sore. And at that point, it was just a challenge to me. I was like, okay, I want to know more. And from that point on, she worked with me for a while and got me into my first bouts my first interest into the love of boxing. And eventually her fiance at the time was wanting her to spend more time at home and stuff. And so I ended up losing her and just kind of took the path forward to keep on going, trying to figure out more about the sport, because I had already fallen in love with it.
Walk us through your first fight, like your first scheduled fight. Like, how were you nervous at all? What were you thinking? Did you feel prepared for your first bout?
So are we talking amateur or pro?
First time you stepped into a ring. And
so the answer would be, did I feel prepared? No. Did I feel like I probably should have been in the ring? No. Did I want to be in the ring? Yes. I found this place in North Carolina that was like this old rundown building, and some of the others were going to go down and do a show in Wilmington. And the people that were there at the time were just like, I think it was at the same time that Christy Martin came out being on the cover of Sports Illustrated with Don King. And so to me, I think they kind of saw, oh, well, we'll just, get her into a couple amateur bouts and then we can, throw her into pro. And, I don't know what they thought they were looking at or something, because they had never, like, they never had me in the ring. I never shadow boxed. I never, like, nothing. I was just working on a bag. Mm-hmm. Long story short, we went down to Wilmington, and my first opponent, I was nervous as all get out. Thought I was going to throw up. Thought I had to go pee, and and I was like, but I was excited to do it. But you're coming from, the mentality is very different and has to be very different. And I didn't understand that. At that point, I looked at it as you go out, you practice basketball, and then you just go play games, and you get better as you go. That's not really the way boxing should work, but that was my experience. Was I was thrown in the ring, and I said, okay. And my opponent, Deirdre Fabian, was from Wilmington. and she had just won, I think it was the silver. I think she won like first place or second place at the Georgia State games. And she's my first opponent. And I'm standing in the corner. I'm like, okay, first thing should have been the fact that my hands were down here. Someone should have just stopped it then instead of here. But I went in, the bell rang, and all I hear was the crowd saying, "Killer, killer!" And I'm thinking, what do you mean? Like, what? Isn't this like just like kind of like baseball? Like whoever comes out better wins? Like, what are you talking about, killer? That's the biggest things I remember is them saying "killer," and I'm like, oh, what have I gotten myself into? I'm going out there. My hands are down. She comes across and runs. She knows what she's doing. She saw my hands were down. She came across and went bat, and everything went black.
Oh, wow.
And I was still standing. I don't know how, other than the fact I just am determined. And I was like, everything was starry, and I was like, oh Lord, this is going to be a long afternoon. And got out of the first round, went into the second round, and thank God one of the guys that was working the corner, he eventually threw in the towel, and I was grateful because I'm that person. I'm not gonna quit. You know, you're probably gonna have to take me out first. But thankfully he threw the towel in, and so survived to fight another day, so to speak. But 2 weeks later I had another bout, and it was against the same person in a different town. But instead I actually ended up lasting the entire fight. So I felt like I kind of took it upon myself to know that, you know, if I'm going to do this, I have to kind of learn as I go and keep training and keep taking it in from people who are feeding me information, and try to find the right people to work with, or to at least listen to. And that's actually how I met my best friend, Paul, was in that gym working out when I first stepped into that place. But that's how I got started.
Oh, you mentioned that your first trainer, she kind of had to step away pretty early in your career. Walk us through about any different trainers you've worked with. You just mentioned Paul's. I'm sure you trained with Paul as well. But tell us about some trainers that you work with that's helped you along in your career from amateur to pro.
Yep. So I had Teresa Arguello, who she has a story within herself where she was out at La Habra and she ended up getting shot by her boyfriend, or I don't know if it was husband at the time or whatever. Like, she has a whole story there, and is now training, you know, young kids and stuff, and has a team out in Texas. Then I had Cheryl Nance, who has fought some of the best in women's boxing. She fought Christy Martin. She's fought, you know, Lisa Hollowing. She's fought a lot of people, but that was in Greensboro. She became my coach. Then after that was when I actually turned pro. And at first I was with Coach Cook. Then after Coach Cook, I ended up being with Coach Bradley, who was one of the coaches as part of 3 of the men's U.S. Olympic teams. And I met him through Paul when we were at Jawbreakers. So those are the coaches that I worked with. And there were other people, Coach Derek, who held mitts and stuff for all of us. And I was just down in North Carolina 2 weeks ago on vacation for a week for a wedding, for Paul's wedding. And a lot of the team were there at the wedding. So, yeah, that's who I've had. It does take a while, and there was nothing wrong with any of the coaches I had. You know, it's really just about figuring out, you know, personalities, how you fit together, working with someone who's working with you and not really like trying to make you their style, because that doesn't work. You have to just find the best of the person you're working with and try to make them better and the best that they can be, not try to make them someone that they're not, because that's just not going to work well in the ring. If, you know, I'm never going to be a Mike Tyson. I was more built like a Oscar De La Hoya. So, and I did have, where I've ran into a couple people that tried to work with me, and they're trying to make me an, inside fighter. And, I've got gorilla arms. I need to work from across the ring and not right in their face.
Right.
So I worked with quite a few, but really settled in once I got with Coach Bradley. We were together for a long time.
How's Coach Bradley doing anyway? I remember meeting her.
He's doing good. He was there at the wedding. Doing good. All of us, we're all getting older. We're not, we're not in our 20s, 30s anymore. It's more like 50s, 60s, 70s. And, but he's doing well. So he was there, and Paul was there, Keith Bell, who's fought UFC, and, Donnell Holmes, who has been with Turner and Don King, and we all trained together. Carlton was there, so Johnny Butler, all of us were there. So it was nice to get around the whole team. I actually got some pictures that I haven't even put up there yet that have all of us together. The first ever female boxer or female boxing commissioner for for North Carolina, Jeanette, she was there. The world famous referee Bill Clancy, he and his wife Teresa were there. So it was very nostalgic, to say the least.
Nice.
Awesome. Can you I think that in a lot of fighters journey upon like greatness and achieving championships, there's a moment of time when you feel like a fighter, when you feel like dangerous, like you're unbeatable. Have you ever had that feeling, and can you pinpoint that?
I'll be honest, I never felt like I was unbeatable. I may have felt that way when I won my WBE title, because that was my first, my world title, and I was kind of on top of the world that day. But I've never felt I was unbeatable, because I know everybody's beatable. I don't care who they are. There's not one person out there who, at some point can't be beat or have weaknesses shown, or, exposed. You have, Mariacho, you have Floyd Mayweather, but there are still where you can find some weaknesses. They may not have lost, but I still don't think there's anyone out there who's not truly unbeatable. They retired at the right time, to keep their undefeated record intact. But I just always looked at it like I've just got to go out and do the best I can do. And there's times I felt stronger and more prepared, and my training went better. But that's especially with boxing, you can have really good camps. You can have camps that don't go great, and you signed a contract. You're still going to go fight. And, I had one contract where I went and fought Liz Mooney in Albany, New York, and it was for another title for a different weight class, but with the WBE title. And, things didn't go right for my camp. Not with the training part of it, but I got up there. I knew I was about a pound away from where I needed to be. And unfortunately, the test scale was on carpet, but they didn't have any other place. So I went to weigh in just as a test to see where I was at. And it showed I had like 4 pounds to lose. So I, put on the Abilene, put on the sweats and the bags. And, I spent about 2.5, 3 hours just between bike, sauna. I went in and weighed in, and I was like 4.5 pounds under. And I had lost all my fluids, all my electrolytes, to the point of where I started losing my hearing. I couldn't hear my coach in the corner. It sounded like Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. That's what everything sounded like. I was reading lips. I didn't even tell them that that's how bad I was, because I wanted to fight. I came there to fight. We were the main event, and I didn't want to let people down. So, I still showed up, got in the ring. She hit me one time I'll never forget it. I was like, and I tell Liz knows this. People ask me who's ever hit me the hardest in my lifetime. It was her. And I'm sure some of it was because I was so dehydrated that, every punch was going to hurt, but she had me and she knocked me down. And that's the only fight ever where I thought about not getting back up. And it felt like the whole world was going in slow motion. I remember going back to the corner and coach telling me, I read his lips saying, "Show me something." And I knew that meant he was going to throw the towel in if I didn't. And I had never had someone like stop the fight. Not for me, my opponents. Yes. Not me. And I was like, I'm not going out that way. So I just threw everything I could, but it was a rough fight.
With that being said, what's the biggest thing or the greatest thing that you've learned from boxing about life?
How to control yourself, because it's helped me in a lot of ways, and I kind of reference it to the same way as how the Marine Corps and the military helped me in life. Boxing did a very similar situation where I could be in some tight spots and kind of take my mind to a different way to push myself harder than I probably normally could as a human being to deal with something emotionally or physically. That I think if I didn't have those experiences, I would have been, my reactions would have been much different. So I think it just gave me a fortitude and perseverance that I don't know that I would have had otherwise.
Talk about your time in the Marine Corps. What made you make the decision to join the Marines of all branches? And what was your particular MOS or job in the Marine Corps?
Well, my MOS was a 1345, which was heavy equipment operations. So the big bulldozers, the big cranes, the pans, everything that you see out there that's big, small, and in between. That's what we got licensed for. Building my MOS actually had me to where if we had gone to war, I actually could have been put on the front line because one of our primary jobs was to build tank traps. We learned how to cut in roads and cliffs or hills to be able to, where the tanks wouldn't have been able to see what was coming because of their height, but they would actually just tip over and flop over on the top upside down. So we built tank traps. But the reason I chose the Marine Corps, a couple reasons. One, because I was always very physical and I wanted a physical challenge. My uncle, who I always had looked up to, I knew I was going to go in the military, and he had gone in the Marine Corps. I had a step uncle who had gone in the Air Force. And then when I looked at it, I was like, well, I was closer to my other uncle, but also the dress blues were way better than anybody else's. So I knew we would look better. I felt like there was just, to me, it was like a more prideful branch all around for everything that it stood for. So to all my devil dogs out there, Semper Fi. And so that's what I chose.
Okay. And then you boxed while you were in the Marine Corps as well, right? No,
sir. They didn't have women boxing at that time. I did play all Marine softball. So I did represent the Marine Corps playing softball. The first year that I tried out for the team, I actually got cut. I was the very last person cut from the team. And the Art, who was the coach, said, listen, I just need you to be a little bit faster. I need you to lose about 10 pounds and be a little bit faster. Because I was kind of, my position was usually like third base, shortstop. And they had some already really good players at shortstop and third base. But I just need you to be faster. So I ended up coming back the next year for tryouts. Well, you actually go and play like your local tournaments, regionals, and then you get selected to all-star team from the all-star team, you go and play, like if you're over in the Pacific, you go and play against like the Asian teams for all the different, for the Marine Corps branches. And you do it by regions. And that from there, you then go, you get invited, if you get selected, to go to camp and do a tryout. So you're really trying out amongst everyone that played softball, whether it was on the West Coast, East Coast, Japan, Hawaii, wherever. And they kept, I think it was like 12. So I was the last one cut on the first year, but when I came back the second year, I had dropped 25 pounds and I made it for the next 3 years.
You mentioned using Albaline to help you drop weight, and I've mentioned this to a couple of the guys several times, and other individuals. There's a boxing secret that a lot of people don't realize it helps you drop weight. Run us through about what Albaline actually does in terms of helping individuals lose weight.
So a lot of people just use Albaline as a makeup remover because it's just a more it's not heavy on the product that's in it, and it's kind of like a light version of a Vaseline. So when you put it on your skin, it basically closes up your pores, and so that then makes you sweat more. Your body temperature goes up, you sweat more. And it's just something that was shown to me. So I would do it when I needed to, make sure I could get, 5-10 pounds off before a bout that was going to be in 8 weeks, 10 weeks. But, now knowing all the stuff I went through, and I know wrestlers who do it too, or used to do it, even the boxers that I have that compete, I tell them, like, that's not something you really want to do. It's not good for your body. It's the yo-yo effect, which, guys can get away with it a little bit more than women can. But when you do it and you do it long term, eventually it's going to catch up to you, and your body's going to respond, but not in the way you want it to. You're just put the weight on. It's going to be harder to get it off. So the guys that that are with us at our gym and stuff, I tell them, if you're going to lose weight, lose it the right way. Get your nutrition in place, do the workouts. Yes, you're going to run, you're going to jump rope, you're going to do the volume work on the bags and stuff. But how about we fight in a weight that is meant for your body and not try to get you down 20 pounds just because you're going to end up being taller than your opponent. And, I'm not a fan. I because I know what I've gone through, and I had an opponent who I was supposed to fight for one of the titles, and she went into renal failure the day before the fight. Like, it's just not worth someone's life to do that. Do it the right way and get to where you need to be, and then stay there.
Absolutely. Real quick, you just mentioned having a particular weight in which it would give you an advantage over your opponent in terms of size, height. And I've talked about this as well, where it being 6 foot, if you fought at 135, you're taller than everybody and you got a longer reach, may give you a better advantage if you know how to kind of navigate through in terms of a fight with somebody, keeping them away from you so they don't get on the inside. Run us through that of what you feel like is a better advantage of someone being the same weight as you and you guys are the same height and you kind of just manage it out through there, or having an advantage of the reach advantage, or being able to get on the inside. Which one you think you feel is more better?
It's like I say, styles make a fight, right? So there's not really a going to be a good answer for this, because I prefer someone who's about equal to where I'm at, because I think it makes for a more interesting fight, because you don't have one side or the other trying to struggle. You kind of know yourself, so you kind of know what your opponent's going to be like. If they got long arms, they're going to try to work from the outside. They're not trying to go to the inside, unless that's just how they've trained to fight. And now more days, you're going to find fighters who are trying to learn a little bit of all of it. so that they have a more well-rounded skill set. You know, for me, you know, having longer arms, if someone was shorter, it was harder for me to hit that person because they're shorter. I'm having to go down. And if they pop up and I'm going down, I remember when I fought Mitzi Jeter, she came up with an overhand right. I came down with an overhand right and we clashed heads. And I had this massive, humongous hematoma on my head. And first time I'd ever, you know, been in a situation like that. And, you know, here I am not knowing how to really defend it. Because believe me, after that, that is a big target on your head. And they're just trying to go and pound that. And I'm like, oh.
I got to get the pimple. Oh, let me get
it wasn't hard because it was about that big right here on my head.
Oh, wow.
Like Rockman. It looked just like that. If you don't know who he is, just go look at Rockman and go Rockman hematoma. You'll see it. And that's exactly what mine looked like. It was horrible.
Oh, man.
Well, but how do you feel about the state of women's boxing right now?
You know, it's obviously it's gotten better over, you know, because of course when I hate even saying this, but when I was boxing, you know, now they look at everyone that was during the time I was going, which was like Christy Martin and Mia St. John and, you know, Bonnie Canino and, you know, so many. But they kind of considered that the pioneer of women, the era of the pioneer of women's boxing, when in fact, I mean, it goes back to the 1900s. And there's so many, you know, because obviously I have a huge interest in that, but I even have a huge interest on that on the men's side, going back to like Carmen Basilio and, you know, the fighters in the 50s, 60s. So when, you know, when you look at the state of women's boxing now, has it gotten better? Of course. I mean, look at Katie Taylor and, you know, Clarissa Shields, and you look at Ann Wolf. Well, even like Ann Wolf, and they were still like during the time frame that we were boxing. But you know, we were boxing during a time when there were no world championships. I went to the first ever women's U.S. Nationals. And I went to the second ever women's U.S. Nationals because they didn't have them yet. And I participated in those and took third in the country in both of those. Then you've got, you have to have so many of those and so many countries participating in amateur boxing before you can even be considered for a world championship event. So, you know, there were, we without us doing what we had done, there would not have been women's boxing in the Olympics. It just wouldn't have happened because all that other stuff had to happen first. So then you come around and now you've got, you know, Clarissa Shields in London and that was great. And Katie Taylor and, you know, so many others who really showed people that women can and do deserve to be in the ring. And, you know, I mean, let's be honest, no matter what anyone thinks of Clarissa, she's the only female American boxer to win 2 golds in the Olympics. Only one. No male has ever done it. So, you know, that just goes to show that, you know, if people put the time and effort into it and they deserve to be there, male, female, doesn't matter. But, you know, Holly Holm, Mia St. John, Kelsey Jeffries. I mean, oh my gosh, I could go on with a list of all the women, you know, and the women that are there now, like Amanda Serrano, and you got Franchon Cruz de Jeune, and you have Savannah Marshall, Alicia Baumgardner, you have Makai Krebs from Niagara Falls. Jessica McCaskill. I mean, so many. There's just, you can't. And I hate, for anyone that watches this, and especially those fans of female boxing, please don't come at me with the people I haven't mentioned, because there are that many that people don't have a clue about that are out there that are up and coming, or that are, you know, doing really well, that are still in the game. There's no way, like, I could say all of them. I would need an hour to try to even list a majority of them.
Right.
So it's good. It's just getting them to have the attention. We'll put it this way. We need women's boxing to happen the same way the interest in women's collegiate basketball happened with Caitlin Clark and Reese, and then went and followed over into the WNBA. That's what we need to have happen with women's boxing. Because
So if you had someone come to you, right, a female who you feel like had potential, how would you build that that amateur boxer into a star in today's world? If they came to you and say, "Hey, I want you to build me into a boxing star," how would you do that?
First, I'm going to sit them down along with, if they're young enough, their parents, their family, whoever it is that's looking out for them, and say, here's what it takes. This is, you don't go and just play 1 or 2 baseball games and think you're going to make Major League Baseball. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of dedication. There's a lot to it. And then so we would sit down and I'd say, look, here's what it takes. And before you make a decision that this is all you want to do in your life, let's start working. And here's where we're going to start. Here's how many days a week I need you here in the gym. Outside of the gym, I need you doing this. You've got to get your running in. So there would be plans for what their strength and conditioning looks like. It's not just coming to the gym just to hit a bag or just do sparring. That is not it at all. You have to learn all the basics because you can't build a house without a foundation. So you build the foundation, you find out what she's good at. Maybe what she does is throw, I'll say for me, mine was my left hook. I never even knew until my last fight that I had a good right hand, and I'm right-handed, but I became left side dominant. So, let me throw a hook all day long and I'll tag you in different places and still put you down. So find out, what their strengths are. Let's keep those strong. Things that you maybe footwork needs some improvement. We're going to work on all the stuff that needs extra help, but we're going to make that person a well-rounded athlete. And then it really is, it's a lot about understanding what it takes to do it. It's the understanding that you still have, if you're in school, you still have your schoolwork. How much of a commitment do you want to make to this? Like, we can go on a pace that's going to go like this. We can go to a pace that's going to go like this. Everyone's is individually going to be different. When you've got those sports parents who are like, I'm all in, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That's great. And I want them to have that support for their child, but I want that child to be the one that's like, I want to do this. I don't want someone coming to me because their mom or dad's like, they have the talent. They can have all the talent in the world, but if they don't have it in here and in here that they want to do it, it's all for nothing.
Absolutely. You just mentioned one of your really good right punches, and we have a picture right here of you throwing a really good right punch with the opponent there, and of course we have this picture here with you holding one of your championships, and I believe that's Paul right there as well.
That is Paul, and then Carlette Ewell to the other side. She and I were supposed to fight. She's the one that ended up having renal failure and ended up in the hospital the day we were supposed to fight. That right there, it's kind of funny. I've found a picture of Ali, and I want to say it was with Frazier, but there's a picture that is identical. You put them side by side, they look identical, and I didn't realize that until it was someone else that it was like a boxing aficionado who put them side by side, and I was like, dang, they're like the same exact at the same time. And that was the fight where I realized I had a right hand, and I dislocated her jaw, and she had a double mouthpiece, and she started swallowing it, and she was choking, and so that fight ended in round 1.
Now that's something you don't hear about every day, making someone swallow the mouthpiece. Good Lord, Bonnie, what was you trying to do? You was trying to win.
Well, I'm always trying to win. And what's funny is, like I said, I'm always like a 1-3 or a 2-3-2. And I just said, I want to throw a 1-1-2. I want to see, that's all that was in my head was, I just want to see if I can land a good right hand and see what I've got. And in that bout, I go back and I can watch it. I watch it all the time, and I'll see where I'm throwing a lot of hooks, some hitting, some missing. And about the time she turned away from me, then she started to come towards me, and I said, I'm just going to throw it now. And I went 1-1, and I threw that 2, and when I did, it just sounded nasty. It sounded like a car had just hit a building. It was just like, fat. And I was like, and all of a sudden she just went, oh, like this. And she's like waving it off. And it ended up, she was starting to swallow that double mouthpiece. She was choking on it because it dislocated her jaw and she couldn't get that out. I felt bad. I mean, I was glad I won, but I
don't feel bad. That's a humble brag.
I was also a little mad that it was not even like barely after a minute into, or maybe it was like a minute and a half into the round 1. Like I wanted to fight, and it was over before it started.
Yeah.
Is that the picture right there?
That could be, yes, I believe.
Yeah.
I think one of the ones I saw was like a black and white one too, but I'd have to see the whole thing. But like both arms are down, just like mine were. One was down low and the other one's out here. And I was like, because the first thing I did when I saw that picture was like, oh, my left hand wasn't up. But then I saw that one with Ali, and I said, well, if it was good enough for him, I guess it was okay for me that night too.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, because this is very interesting. I want to see, who do you consider the top 5 women's boxers of all time? Yeah. Can you tell me your top 5 and your number 1 person? You just got to tell me the reasoning behind it. But yeah, give me Bonnie's top 5 best female boxers of all time. Greatest female boxers of all time.
All right. And I have different reasons for them. So for some people, are going to be like, oh, the record this, the record that. So I'm just going to put it out there. My number 1 and 2 are pretty much almost like dead even tied, but it's Christy Martin, and it's also Christy Martin and Ann Wolfe. I'm going to put Ann Wolfe at number 1. Here's why. I was at an all women's boxing, and I was on the card, and I was fighting Yvonne Race, and our fight was already done. I was sitting ringside, and up comes Ann Wolfe. She's fighting Marcia Valley, and Ann Wolfe was like, everyone had been talking about how she was supposed to, everyone wanted her to fight Layla Ali. Everyone, they knew that at the time that was like kind of the matchup people wanted to see. Well, I sat there and I watched Ann just go like this and turn an uppercut. And I watched Marcia Valley's feet, both of them at the same time, go about this far up off the canvas, both feet, one uppercut. And I sat there. I actually went and talked to her afterwards out in the lobby for about 45 minutes or so. Nicest person. I've had the honor of being able to meet her again since then. And I've kept in touch with her several times. But to me, she was like one of the most powerful boxers to ever put herself in the ring. As far as how hard she hits, I just can't. It's hard for me to put anyone above her. But so then I would put Christy, like I said, I put them really kind of together, but then I would definitely put Christy Martin. She and I were supposed to fight. The contract fell through due to a promoter, nothing to do with her or myself. Just a kind of a shady promoter who didn't know what they were doing, and it cost us a fight. And it was a main event for a title, an ABF title. But Christy and I have had a lot of interactions. She's an amazing person. So I put her at number 2. And I just respect her for everything that she's gone through in her life. Same with Ann, because they both have obviously stories outside of boxing. Number 3, I mean, it's really hard. I mean, you put me on the spot because like I've got so many people that I consider good, friends at this point that I've been able to meet and talk to. And it's hard. It's really just hard to compare how people boxed way back in the early days, like even before us, to our time frame, our era to now. Because there's people. So let me say, I'm probably going to say, whew, these people are going to hate me. No, like literally just when you're inducted into the International Women's Boxing Hall of Fame, like it's a sisterhood like no other. And I just respect every single person. And there's so many I've gotten to know. And not all of them, I know them as a person, not like as the boxer, but there's different reasons why I say, well, this person like really set a standard for being the first to ever do this, during when things were still black and white, Barbara Butrick, which I think she's amazing. And most of you guys would never even know who she is, but without her, there's none of us.
So is Barbara Butrick in your top 5?
Yes.
Okay.
I put her number 3, and that's just kind of an old sentimental choice. I would say Holly Holm. And I'll say 5 and 6. I'm just going to kind of put them together with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. Now, again, I know right now I've probably really pissed off like a lot of people. But to all the female boxers out there, like I said, I have mad respect for every single person that ever gets in that ring, because there are a lot of unsung heroes who, had they not gotten in the ring and given other people chances to try to fight, and I was one of those people. I was one of the ones that always was looked at as a B fighter, always, and that's okay. Without us, they don't get to shine either. And there are a lot of people that fall in that category, where I'm at. And, if you look at their records, would you say they are top 10? No. But by heart and definition and what they did for the sport and things like that, absolutely. But I could probably put 200 people in that category. Yeah. So it's like when you say, who's your favorite child? Well, I don't have a favorite child.
I got some that are favorite on some days. You know what I'm saying? So let me ask you a question. This is interesting. Who do you consider to be the Muhammad Ali of women's boxing?
For me, I'm still going to say Ann Wolfe. But there's people like Sumya Anani, and oh my gosh, like all the ladies that I've gotten to know, like most people don't, some people know their names and know them really well. Other people don't and really should, because they deserve to be in that in those mentions every single time. Like Sumya Anani beat Christy Martin, I mean, but everyone knows Christy, they may not know Sumya and Sunya Anami, and she's amazing.
Right.
Kelsey Jeffries. I mean, there's so many, it just makes my head spin. But to me, I know a lot of people are gonna say, well, Layla Ali, and again, I met her in Charlotte in a hotel for different reasons. We were there, but when her first child was only 6 months old, and I'll never forget, I saw her walking into a hotel, and obviously I knew who she was. We chatted for a little bit, and And I respect her. I think she's a fantastic boxer. For me, though, and my personal choice, no one's going to convince me that had the two of them fought, my money would have been on Ann Wolf. If they were both at the time.
Ladies and gentlemen, and that are watching, if you go to the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast group page, you will see a video. Ann Wolf versus Vonda Ward, and what's being called the most amazing knockout in women's boxing. And if you look at the video, you will understand why. The two dynamic of the two sizes of these two women is like a David versus Goliath type of situation. And Ann Wolf stood in there and she held her business.
That clip went viral. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
I was watching it on TV, and I actually was nauseous when I saw that hit come. And what I'm saying, when I'm telling you how much power Ann Wolf has, that's not an exaggeration. I think she would have been in trouble for anybody. There's and the way she trained and the method she trained, and she even trained James Kirkland, the same way she was trained by her trainer, with the truck with the heavy bag sitting on the truck and having to, shadow box, hit the bag, follow, running behind it. I mean, her training methods and stuff were no joke. But you're right, that video, oh my gosh. When I saw Vonda stiff as a board, head rolling back in her eyes, I dare say that's probably one of the top 10 knockouts of all time, male or female.
Absolutely. You've won several different championships. Which championship that you have won really hit you in the heart, like really grasp that, really, like you had that little frog in your throat, you knew you was gonna cry, but you weren't gonna cry on TV? Like, which one was for you?
So I'm gonna clarify something. My WBE title was my world title that I won. The WIBF, WIBA, it was an interim title because that's when I was supposed to fight Carlette Ewell. I made weight. She couldn't fight. She couldn't make weight, so it was an interim title. The WBE, for a couple of reasons. One, it was my first, my first shot at a title, first shot at anything. Won that. I won it on Paul's birthday in 2005, April 5th of 2005, or April 16th of 2005, and that was on his birthday. And I turned around and looked at him and said, "Well, here you go." I said, "This is your birthday present because I've been training. I don't have anything else for you."
Oh man,
yeah.
We got some comments on Instagram. Gabby61 love Queen B.
I already know who it is. Gabby Scarrett. She's this young lady that is, I think it's RIT that she's at in Rochester. And she does kickboxing and I don't know if it's MMA, but I know she does kickboxing, and I got to meet her family up at the International Boxing Hall of Fame in Canastota. And then one of the next years when I was there, I met them again, and their daughter was there, and they had remembered meeting me before. And so, yeah, I've kept in touch with her through Instagram, and she's fought a couple times, and I unfortunately haven't been able to catch them, but I want to try and make one of her fights because she's a young lady who's out there doing her thing too now.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Hall of Fame really quick. You get the call or email or something in the mail, and you're being told that you're being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Run us through your emotions of that.
I cried. Actually, the president of the Women's International Boxing Hall of Fame, Sue Fox, contacted me and said, I want to let you know that you're going to be inducted in the 2021 class. And I was trying to hold it together, and I did, while I got that information and stuff. But once I was away from it, I just kept kind of going like, what just happened? Like, what is this, like, for real? And then COVID came, so it was delayed by a year because it got pushed back. And so we ended up with 2 classes going in. Yeah, I mean, I was just full of emotion. I was very grateful and very humbled. Like I said, because you got so many of these ladies who have won multiple titles. Like I said, signed by Don King, signed by Bob Arum. I didn't have that stuff. It was kind of like, I kind of look at it like the Mickey Ward version of boxers. Like, yeah, he had those opportunities and stuff, but he still was that blue collar worker. That's why he's one of my favorite male boxers. And just always putting in the work, no matter what. No excuses, win, lose, or draw. Just go in there and do it, and give it everything you got. And that's so to find out that I was being inducted. It meant the world to me. And I went last year back out there to support it, and to see some of these ladies get it, like Dar Buckskin and a few others who just had no idea that they were getting celebrated and didn't understand. Like, a couple of them got belts from the WBC because they didn't have them back in the day, and they actually won and should have had them, and they were presented with them at the induction. To see them, like, their faces and how much that meant to them, like, it's just stuff you can't even put into words.
Absolutely. Did you ever have to hype up a fight or kind of talk trash, a little trash before the fight to kind of hype it up?
No, that was never my style. I was always just pretty laid back. As a matter of fact, when I fought Holly Holm, which it was like my second bout ever, and they flew us out to Albuquerque, New Mexico. So, we're in her backyard. Harold Cook was my coach at the time. We get out there the day before the bout. Now, anyone that knows anything about Albuquerque and their, the altitude and all that, like, you don't go out the day before, but we didn't know that. Like, we're like, this is an opportunity to try to be seen. So we went out there. And so anyone who goes and Googles Bonnie Mann versus Holly Holm, you're going to see a very ugly fight because I was knocked down, I don't know, about 6 times. Wasn't because of her punches. Now, this is not taking away from Holly. I've met Holly since then. It's just my equilibrium was off between the flight and the elevation. I finished the fight, but it's one of the worst things ever for me to watch because I was like, her punches were like feathers. Back then, like I said, I know she's amazing and she's got power. I didn't feel power. My equilibrium, I would get hit here and just go down. And I kept thinking to myself, why? It feels like I'm in cement. Why am I going down? And it was equilibrium. And I just didn't understand that. And so, it was a little heartbreaking because I wish I could have done that fight over. And because everyone after me, Anne-Marie Saccarato, who another amazing fighter, she went out like 7 or 10 days ahead of time. She even changed in like a hyperbaric chamber and all this other stuff to, for the elevation, and went out and had a great fight out there. I would have given anything to have had that opportunity back. But again, I don't make excuses. It's live and learn. And now that stuff, I'm grateful that I can pass on to this next generation and say, look, these are things you don't do. You don't go out on a day's notice all the way out to Albuquerque and take a fight like that. Or my very first pro fight was driving myself, because I didn't have a coach at the time, all the way out to Kentucky by myself. And then finding out that my opponent, Nikki Eplion, was like 27 pounds heavier than I was. As I'm in the ring and they're announcing our weights.
Oh, wow.
That should have never happened.
Oh, man. So, look, you see a few wrestlers that come out of retirement to do like celebrity bouts and I don't know what you call them, promotional fights. We see Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, they're about to have a bout coming up soon. If it was presented to you, would you ever do like a celebrity boxing event to get back in the ring?
It depends on the money. At this point in my life, I'm going to tell you right now, it depends on the money. I've said like, I don't have any really need to get back in the ring, but if someone said, hey, we'll send you out to Dubai because that's where they've got the money.
Yeah. And
we're going to put you in the ring with this person, but we're going to pay you about $50,000. Oh, sign me up. I'm going to go.
Who would your opponent be like? Who would you want your opponent to be in that? And it can be anybody. Anybody.
Oh, Lord. I don't know. It'd have to probably be someone that had been pretty mouthy in the past that like I felt like deserved to have another opportunity for me to like get in there and be like, oh, I don't talk trash, but I'm at a different place right now, so let's go. I don't know. You know what? Just to support my homegirl, Carlette Ewell, because we didn't get a chance to fight. And she hasn't run her mouth, so I'm not saying that, but because
she said you were running your mouth.
but because of the money opportunity, I'm like, come on, girl, let's go get our checks. Let's give the fans the show they deserve. Let's get it on, do what we need to do, and then let's know that we're finally getting a check worth our time. And it'd probably be a one and done for me, not gonna lie. But if that an opportunity like that came up and that money was right, but I honestly I don't see anyone saying, hey, by the way, we'll pay you $50,000 and fly you out to do that. Now if they did, I'll be like, okay, let's talk what the terms are.
We got some promoter and boxer friends, you know what I'm saying? So, you never know. Stranger things have happened. I'm somebody booked the fight. I want to see.
Happy Feet, you ready to go?
Yes, I'm always ready to go. Always.
Against me.
Yes, I've been waiting for that for a long time. Yes, let's do
it. Well, we have this thing on the show, and I'm going to let you talk a little bit of trash. You know what I'm saying? Roosevelt has some beef with any fighter. I don't care if they're wrestlers, boxers, if they pill fight. No, I don't care what it is. He always got some kind of beef. We got a way of settling this thing. So, Bonnie, you're promoting the fight. You're fighting Roosevelt, right? I want you to cut a scathing promo against him to promote this fight. This is our segment that we like to call Best Damn Promos. I hate to put you on the spot. Bonnie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, awesome. Beautiful people, prepare yourself. We are going to war. Now, for some reason, Roosevelt likes to go. He likes his opponents to go first. I'm letting him go first this time. It's Bonnie, you know. Yeah, I'm gonna put him on the spot. You know what I'm saying? Just give you a little breather. You know what I'm saying? So Roosevelt, go ahead and cut your best skate the promo against Bonnie. Me.
All right. I got this. Don't even worry about it. Bonnie. You gave me my first opportunity in the sport called professional boxing. And in that time, to now, I have to let you know something. I've gotten fast. Ooh, I've gotten fast, so fast. Let me tell you how fast I've gotten. Just last night, I went and turned the light off. I was in the bed before the room got dark. That's how fast I've gotten. I've gotten mean, real mean. I'm so mean, I made medicine sick, okay? That's how mean I've gotten. And ooh, just dangerous, dangerous. I've tussled with an alligator, wrestled with a whale, handcuffed lightning through thunder in jail. Let me show you how great I am. Bonnie, if you and I stepped in the ring, let's totally be honest. It's going to be a fight. It's going to be an entertaining one. You're going to give me everything that you know, and I'm going to give you everything that you've taught me. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm going to give you a little bit more of what I've learned everywhere else. Because I'm going to show you that I'm not just happy feet. I'm not going to dance around the ring and keep you from hitting me. Because I got to a point where now I like to fight. And Bonnie, if you step in that boxing ring with me, you're going to find out, just like everybody else, that my name is Roosevelt. And I like to fight.
Oh, shucks, it's getting warm up in here. It just got heated. Oh, man. Bonnie, whoop his ass, Bonnie. Whoop his ass, Bonnie. I'm in your corner. Let's go. Bonnie, man.
Let's go. Well, you know, Happy Feet, because that's all you'll ever be to me. You just keep on moving and grooving like you always do. I know your mistakes. You can keep on thinking that you have changed them all, but I still have all those extra years in my back pocket. So when you think you're going to keep moving like you are, or not moving and coming right in close, that'll be your first mistake. You won't have to worry about turning the light off before it gets dark and you hit the bed, because you'll be hitting the floor before you even get your hand out to reach for the light switch. So once we go ahead and establish that I've already got you on the ground and they're counting the numbers to 10, then we can go back to being friends again. And that's all I have to say.
Hey, hold on. Come here. Give me, look.
No, she left the gun smoking.
I'm sorry.
He don't want the smoke, Bonnie. He don't want the smoke.
I don't want it.
Oh man!
You
tell me that you don't like to talk that you don't like to talk trash, Bonnie. You can't tell me that.
So you know, when we talk about I got you, Buddha. When we talk about like Holly Holm, though, the one thing that stood out was there was a reporter, Chris Cazone, very known across the world, and he wrote, because I'm just like this. Now inside I was a bundle of nerves, but I always play it very cool. And we had an actual whole press conference, which I had never done. And here we are, my second bout, and it's because she was the main event. She wasn't the main event, but she was one of the primary boxers there because she was signed by the CES that was putting on the entire show, and it was a televised bout. And we actually became a swing bout and ended up getting put on. But we're sitting there during the press conference. And, you know, she's saying what she's saying. And the only thing I said, because I don't trash talk. And I said, listen, there's not a lot I have to say, because I just do what I do in the ring. There's no reason to say a bunch of stuff out here, because the only thing that matters is what happens in there. That's all I said. The paper, the article the next morning was, Mann was eerily quiet. and that's how I just always did it. Even in you know, stare offs and stuff, I was always just like, I didn't say anything. I was like, people can say a lot of words. It's what you do in the ring that matters. So, yeah.
It's always the quiet ones. Those are the dangerous ones. Those are the ones you got to watch out for.
Yeah.
Yeah, trip you down the steps when you walk in. You got just the quiet ones.
Well, like the penguins, the little memes where the one's walking and the other one's flipper goes and just pushes him in. That's me.
Oh man. Well, look, this has been a great interview, Bonnie, and thank you for being here with us. We like to do this thing at the end of every show where we give a little bit of motivation. We say a quote, a limerick, sing a song, I don't care, whatever you want to do. But we like to give people a little bit of motivation to get through the week. And we call this segment Final Word. So, Bonnie Mann, do you have a final word for your beautiful subjects?
I do. Dream it, believe it, achieve it. It's a motto that I've always believed in, so much so that I have it tattooed on my arm. If you have a dream, don't find a way to make that happen. Believe in it, believe in yourself, go out there and try to do it. Because the only one that's stopping you is you. You can always find a way to make something happen if you believe in it enough. So dream it, believe it, achieve it. Go after it and go get it.
Oh man, that was beautiful. That is a final word from the one and only Bonnie Mann. Roosevelt, you got bruises all over your face from that ass with the Bonnie gave you. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll hug you later.
Oh, man. Do you have a final word for the beautiful people?
Yes. My final word for the beautiful people is living in fear could cause you to die in regret. I'm not even going to elaborate on it. I'm just going to let you manifest on that. Living in fear could cause you to die in regret. That is my final word for the beautiful people of the Best Damn Wrestling Podcast.
Oh man, that is the final word from the one and only Dark Maniacal Roosevelt. Go put some A&D ointment on your wounds. Yeah.
Put a spoon in the freezer and put it on my bruise right
here. Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, this was a great interview. I would like to thank you for being here with us. Listen, I want you to help us close out the show if you can. Okay, I don't know why it's on his face again. Nobody will see you, man. So I'm going to say we will see you next week on the next best, and then I'm going to point to you, and I want you to say "damn," and I want you to go to the pits of your stomach, your bowels, and pull out the best damn that you can say. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do this. Beautiful people, we can't hold you no longer. We will see you next week on the next Best
Damn
Wrestling Podcast. That was good. Well, you gave me chills, Bonnie. You gave me chills. Absolutely. Listen, let the beautiful people know what you got going on and where can they find you.
They can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Most of it will be under just Bonnie Mann or WBE Champ 160. They can look on Facebook at Jim's Gym in Elmira, New York. That's where I am the general manager, and we have boxing, kickboxing, a regular gym, along with other classes on the other side, yoga, ignition, cardio connect. We've got a lot of other classes on that side too. So beautiful facility we have. If anyone's in the southern tier part of New York, to come by and see me. And that's how you can get in touch with me.
Absolutely. So go follow Bonnie and everything that she got going on. listen, you have graced us with your presence. You are now a member of the Best Damn Crew. So hopefully we can get you back on here on the show to promote boxing and more effectively women's boxing, man. And we absolutely love that. We love your energy, your spirit, and you are an expertise in your field, and we love and appreciate you for that. So we kind of wanted to give you your flowers, but just by coming on this platform. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and I'm happy to come back anytime.
All right. Yeah, you get round 2 for that ass whooping, Roosevelt. You know it.
No, I'm about to go to the gym and jump in and get the ropes right now. Let me get my cardio.
Oh, man. Thank you. Beautiful people, we can't hold you no longer. We bid you adieu.